Investigating the president was a key campaign promise for Democrats in the midterms, and now that they're in control of the House, they're keeping their word. And the Cohen hearing was just the beginning.
What we learned from the Cohen testimony was that he directly implicated the president in various crimes, both while seeking the office of president and while in the White House.
Do you think the president obstructed justice?
Yes, I do.
House Judiciary Chair Jerry Nadler requested a slew of documents from more than 80 people and entities related to the president today, including Donald Trump Jr., the Justice Department, and the Trump Organization. And as he told ABC News over the weekend, it's all pointing in one direction.
Before you impeach somebody, you have to persuade the American public that it ought to happen. We have to do the investigations and get all this. We do not now have the evidence all sorted out and everything to do an impeachment.
So while Nadler says now's not the time for impeachment, the document requests coming out of his committee seem to say otherwise. But not all Democrats are on board.
Impeachment is a divisive issue in our country. And let us see what the facts are, what the law is, and what the behavior is of the president.
Ahead of the 2020 election, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi seems to be trying to distance her party from the I word, an issue that could divide the already crowded Democratic field, especially if Donald Trump has anything to say about it.
They fight so hard on this witch hunt, this phony deal that they put together. These people are sick.
For his part, a new poll shows Trump still has very high approval ratings on his side of the aisle. So with support from 88% of Republicans, the president doesn't have much of a party problem going into 2020. Or does he? Joining me are Lila Alphonse. She's managing editor for U.S. News and World Report, just back from taking in Ivanka Trump's stand-up routine at the Gridiron Dinner. We'll talk about that. She's laughing already. Nice to see you, Lila.
Nice
and Charlie
to be here.
Chipio, senior fellow at the Pioneer Institute, former policy director for Governor Romney. Charlie, good to see you. With the Democratic Party split over how to handle this Donald Trump thing, as I said a minute ago, Pelosi says no impeach talk, and she's the boss. And what Jerry Nadler says, I wrote down, he's just beginning to build the public record. But these are informal impeachment hearings, aren't they, what he's doing?
Well, look, I don't know about that. I would rather I'd rather hear him describe them differently and simply saying that we're getting all the facts together and we're going to go where the facts take us. I think everybody would probably be better served by that. But I don't think, I think this is one where I think Speaker Pelosi has proven herself to be pretty adept at keeping people in line. So I think the Democrats have a number of issues that they're going to need to deal with. I don't think this is the one that's going to split them.
But to get back to my question, isn't this really an impeachment hearing by any other name? That's what it is, right?
If that's what the stuff that they get shows, and I don't think it would surprise a lot of us if that were the case.
Charlie doesn't think there's going to be a split, but here's a poll. Democrats who think Congress should prioritize impeachment, this is via Morning Consult, late February, pretty significant margin, 56 to 39. It should be a priority. Now, Nancy Pelosi is a powerful people, but so are Democratic voters. So how do they deal with that impeach or not to impeach thing?
I think a lot of voters don't understand that impeachment and removal from office are two different things. I think that a lot of them are seeking to punish and to maybe even shame not just the president but Republicans. And that's not really what this should be about. I think that seeking a lot of this documentation is important, and if people are afraid of it coming out, that might just mean there is something worthwhile in there.
But wait a second. If you think people, and you're probably right, are confusing impeachment with removal from office, and they really mean removal from office. So they're really going to be upset when they hear they're not even indicting the president, which is what an impeachment is. Are they not? I mean, people meaning Democratic voters.
I think Democratic voters might be, some of them might be upset to hear that that's not what's going on right now. But I think people also forget this isn't a quick process. It's not like a TV show where by the end of the episode everything's wrapped up.
It's not like The Apprentice.
It's not like The Apprentice at all. No one's getting voted off. No one's getting sent packing. This takes months and years to come through. And
somebody needs to be the grown-up in the room here, because the reality is that, look, I think we may well discover that he's committed impeachable offenses. But unless that's absolutely clear and we try to impeach him, all we're going to get is an even greater split, an even greater divide than we have now.
Nadler says, yes, he's obstructed justice. Most people think that's an impeachable offense. You know, you mentioned this whole keep people in line thing, and who are the adults in the room? There's a 78-year-old adult in the room, but there's also a 29-year-old adult in the room. While Nancy Pelosi is saying, hey, boys and girls in a caucus, you better toe the line. Don't vote with those, don't you moderates vote with the Republicans. Ocasio-Cortez in Congress for 2 months is threatening to run primary opponents against moderate Democrats. How are they going to take to that, Charlie?
Well, I think it depends on where they are. I mean, I think in certain districts that'll be a serious concern. I think in a lot of other districts, I don't think they're going to lose sleep over it.
You know, can we get a step back from these caucuses to the race itself? By my count, it could be off by 1. 14 Democrats running. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. We're at that what I call the crazy clown car portion of the race,
yes.
Where we're not sure how many more people are going to tumble out of that VW bug. And there's probably going to be a few more. Hickenlooper announced today.
He's one of the 14.
Yeah, so I think he
Well, there's somebody
14.
called Joe Biden.
There's that guy.
There's Senator Brown from Ohio. I went down a list, and I thought there were at least 8 to 10 likely. Beto O'Rourke is in the likely or possible count. So is 20, 22, 23 Democrats not a prescription for disaster for the Democratic Party?
It would be if by this time next year we still had 20 or 22 people. Several of them are declaring now. Some of them probably don't really run or have any intention of getting far along in the process.
What do they want, like a talk show or
trial
something?
balloons.
What's the point?
These are all trial balloons. Where does the public stand? What are they looking for? Are they trying to move more to the left? Do they want people to be more centrist? And as they drop out and the field narrows, I think then that's when these threats about backing only super progressives will really mean anything.
Let me make the case that it is more of a problem, even if you're right that the field is narrower next year. A lot of these Democrats, Hickenlooper is a good example, Stacey Abrams in Georgia, there are a whole bunch of them, or the Democratic governor of Montana, are potentially passing up runs for Senate seats held by Republicans, that they'd have a really decent shot. So even if they do pull out later in the process, it's too late for them to be the most credible Democratic candidate to win back the Senate.
Yeah,
for their
in most
party,
cases that's true, and I think that for Senate Democrats that's a very big issue and a very real concern for them right now.
So let's change sides of the aisle if we can. I mentioned a minute ago, Lila, 88% support for the president's own. That's essentially unanimous with a couple
Was
of
that poll
outliers.
taken at CPAC?
No, it was actually taken in the whole. But everybody likes to say they're the outliers. Maybe they're more enthusiastic. But when you have 88% numbers, you're not the outlier. Here's the president talking about Otto Warmbier and Kim's role in his death while he was in Hanoi. Here's President Trump.
I don't believe that he would have allowed that to happen. It just wasn't to his advantage to allow that to happen. He tells me that he didn't know about it, and I will take him at his word.
So a ton of Republicans aren't crazy about that, but there's still unity. A ton of Republicans don't like emergency declarations from a president. Yet only, I think it was 13 Republicans in the House voted for the Democratic resolution, and only 4, even though it's enough for a majority in the Senate, with Rand Paul's addition. So if they don't agree with this guy, why do they continue to stand by their man in epic kinds of numbers?
I kind of think it's because polls don't matter much.
What does that mean?
You can circle the wagon in a poll, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're going to do when you vote. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it represents, I mean, I know statistically it can be extrapolated to represent all Republicans, but that doesn't mean that each individual is actually going to vote that way when it comes down to it. But right now, I think they're very cognizant of the fact that they feel under attack from the Democrats. And so they're going to say, yes, we support our guy no matter what.
Yeah, but you're nodding in agreement. But this is a guy who said, I trust Putin over my intelligence people.
Yeah.
I trust the Crown Prince over my intelligence people, and obviously in Saudi Arabia vis-a-vis Khashoggi.
If that poll was taken last week, though, then the auto remarks didn't happen yet, and the remarks at CPAC hadn't happened
No,
yet.
I understand that, but I'm saying that there are a ton of Republican leaders who won't challenge him, even though they say they're disappointed.
You're right. I mean, to say that anything that high profile happens in North Korea without Kim Jong-un knowing about it is absurd, of course. But you know, I think we're just at a place right now where it's which side are you on, and you just defend your side no matter what. And I think that's why we live in this cancerous environment politically right now, because that's what it's come to.
Okay, from the sublime to the ridiculous. You were at the National Gridiron dinner last night, as I said before. Here's just one of a number of jokes.
There was
Excuse
that too.
me, was that true?
That was that too.
From the lead stand-up
6-hour
comedian.
open bar.
This would be the presidential daughter. When my father asked me just this afternoon to represent him tonight, no, this isn't a joke, to represent him tonight, I didn't have time to write any jokes. I feared that the funniest thing I could do was read you excerpts from the Green New Deal. I cannot tell a lie. I laughed when I read it.
The
was
whole
she
room
funny?
laughed. She was funny. She's very personable. She was very interesting, and she's a smart person. So she spoke for only a very brief amount of time. I think some people maybe wish she had gone on a little longer, but she had a few zingers in there. And she did mention that the president sent his regards and that it's difficult for him to pass up an opportunity to make fun of journalists. And for him, every night is the gridiron. And
so
that's pretty on target.
When you go to a dinner like that and you start to laugh,
Yeah.
do you look around to make sure it's okay to laugh, or you just do it?
No, you just do it. I have a tendency to just do it. So
Beautiful.
Depends how long
me.
the open bar was.
Charlie, nice to see you. Thank
Good
you
to see
so
you.
much. A lot of pleasure.
Great to see you.
Thanks. Take care, you guys.